formulating the figure of the nationalist Muslim women through similar narrative structures and characterization. So I'll be taking the help of the PPT for a better understanding. So I think I would start my PPT. Is it okay, Anita? Hello.
Yes, it is. Please share your screen.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Is it visible?
Yes, clear.
Okay. So I would like to begin this presentation by mentioning this quote. It is a statement given by Safiya, mother of Muhammad Fayaz from Kannur. So this person, Muhammad Fayaz, was killed during an encounter while trying to cross the LOC. So later, the police has discovered his connection with some extremist groups. So while refusing to accept the remains of Muhammad Fayaz, Safiya had given this statement to the press. That is, if he has worked against our country, he should get the punishment. For me, the nation is more precious than my son. So please do keep in mind this statement given by a Muslim woman from Kerala. So this is to show that how a Muslim woman from India is supposed to react when she is in a circumstance like this. So I would like to give like an idea about what nationalism and patriotism is. So nation, as Benedict Anderson has famously defined, the nation is an imagined political community. So imagined in the sense it is not like a concrete or not like a stable existence of a political community, but it is imagined like the members of any nation have some imagined like a connection. They imagine to have something of a shared feeling among themselves, like a common origin, common culture, common language, anything. So that is in the sense imagined, and imagined as both limited. Limited in the sense it is limited. A nation is limited by the territorial boundaries. So when we think about India, automatically the map of India comes to our mind. And sovereign in the sense the nation is not ruled by any other foreign nation. And nationalism is an ideology connected with the nation. Anthony D. Smith defines nationalism like that is an ideology which places nation at the center. So nation comes at the foremost. Like the citizen comes later. No, sorry. So the individual comes only later. First of all, we are citizens of a nation. Like we are Indians first and individuals later. So that is the concept of nationalism. And patriotism, the difference between nationalism and patriotism is that patriotism is a more milder version of nationalism. Patriotism is something like it is more inclusive and it accepts plurality. But nationalism, especially nowadays, the nationalism is like related in a sense extreme ideology. Like they try to impose some like codified behavior or something that if you belong to this nation and if you have nationalist pride inside yourself, you have to think like this, you have to act like this, and you have to write like this. So that is the difference between nationalism and patriotism. And nationalism in Bollywood, it has been a favorite theme in like in Bollywood, nationalism. Even from 1950s, we have many films like Anand Mat. Anand Mat was based on the novel written by Bankim Chatterjee, and it also contained the like the song Vande Mataram. So through this film, the Vande Mataram also became very popular among Indians. And we have Mother India, the figure of Radha, representing the Mother India itself. And we have Shahid, it was based on Bhagat Singh. We have Border, Lagan, Lakshya, Manikarnika. In after 2019, recently, we have many films, Manikarnika, Kesari, Padmavat. So they are turning back to history and like bringing back these figures to life. And like they are presented very fiercely nationalist in like in the screen. So these are the some examples of the nationalist films in Bollywood. And the common features of these films are that they use themes like independence struggle, partition, terrorist attacks, sports competition. For example, sports competition we have Lagan, Chak De India, Bhag Milka Bhag, etc. For military operations we have LOC Border. Many films are based on these themes. And usually there is a central heroic figure. If we take a film like Gadar, you will be remembering how Sunny Deol was represented as a whole of India, and Amrish Puri stood for the whole of Pakistan, and they were like Amrish Puri is in the evil side and the Sunny Deol is on the heroic side. So this usually happens in Bollywood. The film uses metaphors, national flags, monuments. So this is a common trend of using symbols, national symbols in films, and national anthem, patriotic songs, which praises or personifies the nation. So these songs in Bollywood movies, nationalistic or patriotic songs, are often addressed to the nation itself. Like you will be remembering a song from the film Karma. Dil diya hai ja bhi denge. We have already given our heart, but we are also willing to give our life itself for the nation. So there are many songs like that. And dramatic sequence, the whole of the Bollywood is actually based upon the thing called melodrama. So dramatic sequence is inseparable from Bollywood, and it involves violence and sacrifice and conflict, everything. And the mandatory thing is the victory of nation, and there is nothing is going to be going to happen otherwise. The victory of nation is mandatory, and the secular values, harmony of communal communities, that also all projected in these films. So, a film critic, Tejaswini Gandhi, has observed how Bollywood after 1990s has marked the upsurge of nationalism in films. Like in earlier films, freedom struggle presented the British as the ultimate enemy of the Indians. So, but after films like Border in 1997, the conflict with Pakistan became a central theme. So, Pakistan became the common enemy in these films. And after that, the unrest in Kashmir paved for films like Roja, Mission Kashmir, Yahan, etc. So, with the involvement of Kashmir, the film started focusing on the military conflict with Kashmiri militants. Like in first phase, the Kashmir was a very blissful atmosphere, and the scenery was the main focus of Bollywood. But after this, Kashmir-related issues, the Kashmiri militants became the central figure, and Kashmir became a place of terror. And after that came the 9/11 attacks that further worsened the situation in Bollywood. Like they started making films on global terrorism, where all the members involved were Muslim, from the Muslim community. We have films like New York and Goodman. We can see how it portrays the Muslim community as very terrible people. And these major developments in Bollywood narratives formed a discourse surrounding Muslim community, who are now seen as a threat to the national security and peace. So there will always a hero fighting these Muslim terrorists, and this goes on. Usually, but the different thing is that usually the hero part in these kind of films are played by men from police force, military, or civilians. But the films I am examining, that is Fiza, Fana, and Razi, in contrast to this convention, the hero part is played by Muslim women. So this makes these three films different. So we can start from analyzing the film Fiza. It was released in 2000 and directed by Khalid Mohammed. So basically Fiza is about Fiza. She's a Muslim girl from a middle class family, and she is trying to recover her brother Aman. So Aman is at the beginning of the film, Aman is portrayed as an innocent guy, but after the Bombay communal riots of December 1992, that is portrayed in the film. So after that, he goes missing, and later she discovers that Aman has joined some extremist groups who seek revenge for the riots. And Aman involves in many murders of even of political leaders. So the police is chasing Aman, and Aman has no avail. He is surrounded by the police, and at that crucial moment, he asks his sister Fiza to shoot him for receiving a respectable death. He doesn't want to die at the hand of the police, so instead he asks Fiza to shoot her. So there is a dialogue from the climax part. Aman says to Fiza, "Those who die for a jihad like this are called shaheed." So Fiza replies, "Jihad is the battle in the path of truth. And the only truth is that we belong to this nation and we will always." So we can see the contrast of these two characters in this dialogue itself, where Aman is standing for extremist ideology and Fiza stands for the nation. So for Fiza, the only truth is that we are part of this nation and we have to serve this nation. So in many scenes, we can see Fiza is trying to moralize Aman and trying to bring him back. So this is a still from the climax part where Fiza is going to shoot Aman with his by his request, and this is after she has shot Aman, and in the scene they are actually surrounded by the police. So there is no way out except this. So Fiza is left only with this choice. So the interesting part of Fiza is that even if when the film sympathizes with the cause of Aman, it juxtaposes Fiza, who stands for secular values, communal harmony, and peace, and Aman stands for extremist ideology. So we can see that Fiza is there only to darken the part of Aman, darken the character of Aman. And Fiza is unlike other stereotypical Muslim women, Fiza is educated, intelligent, and not adhering to the traditional Muslim women's role. So she is not bound in a household. She has a clear-cut path about what she is going to do. So, and the more interesting thing is that the two song sequence in the film portray Fiza as typical Bollywood actress. So, they are trying to remove her from the stereotype characters, but still they can't do off with this Bollywood spectacle of the song. So, she is forced to take the life of her brother to redeem him from the endless saga of vengeance. So, actually, she emerges as a living martyr or redeemer. So this is about Fiza. So the next film is Fana. It is directed by Aditya Chopra and released in 2001. So this film, Fana, is about Zuni and Rehan. So Zuni is a Kashmiri girl and she is visually impaired. So she goes to Delhi for giving a performance related to the Republic Day. There she meets Rehan, who is actually a member of IKF, Independent Kashmir Front, but he is disguised as a tourist guide. So they fall in love and she conceives a child from Rehan. And after 7 years or so, in between this happens that Rehan tries to give vision back to Zuni through a operation, and in between that explosion takes place there, and Zuni sees that Rehan is dead, and she can only receive the remains of Rehan. So she believes that he is dead. But after 7 years, Rehan comes back. He is very wounded, and he still doesn't disclose his true identity. Then through the media, Zuni identifies that Rehan is carrying a trigger of a nuclear weapon that he wants to hand over to the extremist group in which he is involved, that is IKF. So before Rehan could complete his mission, Zuni actually shoots him down for saving the nation. So this is a plot of Fana. So there is a dialogue between Dr. Malini Tyagi. She is a part of the anti-terrorist wing. She says the only one who can stop it is you, Zuni. So Zuni tries to resist by saying that, but he is my husband. But Dr. Malini Tyagi says, tell me you will help us, Zuni. So that is a statement where she leaves no other choice to like Zuni. She has to kill Rehan because she has to save the nation. So the nation becomes the larger interest or the larger preference for Zuni. This is the last part, the climax scene, similar to Fiza. She is going to shoot Rehan. Rehan tries to shoot back, but he surrenders to Zuni. So this film actually begins it itself in the beginning itself. It starts to like pour the patriotic feelings in the film. Like it begins with "Sare Jaham Se Acha" song, and the Zuni is saluting the national flag. And Zuni's patriotic feelings, we can witness it in many scenes where when she witnessed Amar Jawan Jyoti. When she witnessed Amar Jawan Jyoti, she links it with the Taj Mahal. She says that this feeling of patriotism and the feeling of love, that both are the same. And when she performs Desh Mera Rangila at Republic Day, and she also keeps insisting her son to learn Janagana Mana. So these are instances where she is portrayed as a nationalist figure. And they are these two figures, Zuni and Rehan, are contrasted by values itself. Like Zuni believes in love and loyalty, where Rehan only believes in material pleasures, and he keeps using people for his mission. And not only Zuni, Zuni's father also is very nationalistic. Like he tries to kill Rehan when he identifies him as a terrorist. So he tells him that I would gladly do this. I would gladly kill you even if you are my son-in-law, because you are a traitor to the nation. That is the justification. So despite the intense love for Rehan, Zuni has no other options than to kill him. So this is about Fana. And the third and the last film, Razi, it was directed by Meghna Gulsar and released in 2018. So this is the story of a 20-year girl. Her name is Sehmat. So she is being married off to Pakistan as a wife of a Pakistani army officer by her father, because her father Hidayat Khan was a freedom fighter and he is actually a spy to the Indian government against Pakistan. So he is having some disease and he is going to die. So his wish is that Sehmat should continue his profession and serve the nation. So Sehmat agrees to this and she goes on the mission to Pakistan under the guise of his wife. And this is set during the Indo-Pakistan War of 1971. So she has to procure many delicate informations for India. So during this mission, she has to poison her brother in law, and she has to run a jeep over her servant. So these murders happen during her mission. And Iqbal is killed by a grenade thrown by other raw agents when he tries to arrest Sehmat. So, despite being a spy, she actually loves Iqbal. So they share a very close relationship. And Iqbal really adores Sehmat, and both are they are deeply involved with each other. But when the nation comes before her, there she has no choice other than she has to destroy the enemy. So even if Iqbal is her husband, she has to eliminate him. There is a dialogue where Khalid Mir is asking Hidayat Khan when he has took this decision to marry her off to Pakistan. Khalid Mir says she is your daughter. So Hidayat Khan replies she is an Indian first. That is what I said. The Indianness comes first. Then only you are like a daughter or a mother or anything. You are an Indian first. So these are the stills. Again, it is similar with the previous images. So when we examine these three films, we can see that in the past, Muslim women were portrayed as courtesans in quotas and as oppressed victims in households. If we remember films like Anarkali, Mughal Azam, or films like that, in Nikah, they are always the victim or a spectacle. But in Fiza Fana and Razi, we can see that these films, these characters differ from the traditional oppressed women. Now she is in former films, she was a victim in a domestic sphere, but now she is a victim of a grand Islamic fundamentalist patriarchal. Like it is a global plan where every person from Islam is involved in oppressing the Muslim women. So they are also brought up in secular families, and not like orthodox families. They are now they are like very secular families, and they have very nationalist feeling in them. And these three characters are tied in intimate familial bonds, and their loyalty is tested, and they are willing to take up arms. So here these characters are not passive victims, but they are ready. They are willing to take up arms, and they are ready to defend their nation. So they rise to a position of a national hero, like in Gadar, how Sunny Deol is here. These characters are very like heroic in their characters, and they stand for secularism, peace, communal harmony, and sacrifice. And there is a very famous observation by Mahmoud Mamdani. You must have known that how after the 9/11 attacks, the Muslims were categorized as good Muslims and bad Muslims. So good Muslims here like refers to the Muslims who testify their loyalty to the nation, and the bad Muslims are anyone who like have anti-nationalist feeling, not essentially anti-nationalist, but even if a Muslim tries to criticize anything of our nation, he or she is labeled as a bad Muslim. And so here Fiza, Soni, and Sehmat become good Muslims who oppose the bad Muslims. And this good versus evil is the classic emblem of Bollywood heroism. At the same time, the narrative helps to form an anti-national discourse surrounding the Muslim men also. Like they are very oppressive, they are involved in extremist and criminalized activities. So the fact that these women are tools of the state missionaries is hidden somehow, and the nationalist sentiments in the film is often projected. So turning back to the history of like nationalism in Bollywood, the famous critics Aravind Rajagopal and Madhav Prasad has observed like how television and films have played a major role in development of nationalism in the mass audience of India. So from the beginning itself, we know that Phalke's mythological films had played a major role in inculcating the nationalist feelings in the viewers, and the serialized version of Ramayana Doordarshan, films based on national icons like Jhansi Rani, Subhash Chandra Bose, and after that came the films like Roja and Mission Kashmir. So all these narratives in these films or series, these play a very important role in weaving together an ideological framework that is rooted in the Hindu nationalism with the Muslim as the common enemy. So and in this nationalist project, we can see that women are often the carriers of the national culture. And so these three characters are embodiment of Indian secular values. And at the same time, there also happens a subversion of the roles played by the gender roles played by these characters. Like these female characters enter the domain which was exclusively reserved for men only. Like they are undertaking a moral war against a greater evil. We can the Muslim women taking a moral war against evil. It is not a common theme in like Bollywood. So these characters are expressing extreme sacrifice and loyalty, which is hallmark of Bollywood heroes, not heroines. So here the masculinity is defined by loyalty to nation. So loyalty here applies to Fiza, Zuni, and Sehmat rather than Aman or Rehan, because Aman and Rehan are traitors. But these women characters are the real masculine heroes. So there is also an interesting observation by Sarah Faris in her work In the Name of Women's Rights, The Rise of Femo Nationalism. So Sarah Faris examines how nationalist and feminist discourse invoke the same crop of Muslim men as one of the most dangerous threats to the Western society. So if we place this observation in the Indian context, we can see how the state had implemented the Triple Talaq Bill, UAPA, POTA, etc. Like they are saying that they are trying to save the Muslim women, but in fact they are trying to criminalize the Muslim men. So in the last scene of Fana itself, we can see that how the anti-terrorist special force is rescuing Zuni at the critical moment when Rehan's grandfather is trying to shoot her down. So there is the saving the Muslim women narrative. So these films function as a kind of ideological tool which projects the ideal image of modern Muslim women in India as in popular imagination. So these films like indirectly state how a Muslim woman is supposed to behave or supposed to serve the nation, how her response should be framed in such a situation. So we can also remember the recent promo by Purogamana Kala Sahitya Vedi, where we can see a figure alluded to Safia, and she is like praising the ruling party of Kerala. So there, the promo projects the party as the savior of Muslim women in distress. And we also witnessed the film Biryani recently, produced and directed by Sajjan Babu. So that film also appropriated the figure of Safia, like the figure of the mother of Khadija. She is suffering because her son is related to some extremist group. So these Muslim figures in media and films are like they not only exemplify the apologetical stance of good Muslim, but also they help in rallying against the bad Muslim. So even if we examine the film Biryani itself, we can see that how it had included all the components of negative stereotyping, like it discussed triple talaq, polygamy, denial of legal custodianship of child, militant groups, sexual deprivation of Muslim community, superstitions, sex traffic inside the mosque, and sex workers in Muslim community. So, and I would also like to mention the issue of Aryadan Shaukat. Like, he had wrote script like that of Padam on Oru Vilapam and Devanamathil. So, when he wrote scripts for films like that, those films were well accepted and appreciated in our society. Like, it also won several awards, including National Film Award for Family Integration. But recently, a film was written by Aryadan Shaukat called Vartaman. So, for Vartamana film was about a strong Muslim character. She was protesting against the right-wing fascism, but because it had resemblance to Aisha Rana and anti-CA protests, the clearance from Central Board of Film Certification was denied to Aryadan Shaukat. Even his identity as a Muslim was also stated as a reason. So, like rallying the good Muslim against the bad Muslim and the bad Islam becomes a whole nationalist project in Bollywood, which not only like attracts the viewers but also helps in invoking patriotism. So, I would like to conclude my presentation by presenting a short clip from the movie Farah. I suppose you can hear and see the clip. उसका स्केच हमें अगर आपने
सुनी डोंट पैनिक और मेरी बात ध्यान से सुन। क्या तुम्हारे शोहर के पास
मेरे पास है
वही है। मेरी बात ध्यान से सुनो। इस वक्त मैं तुमसे तुम्हारे जिंदगी न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब हमारे देश में चलाएंगे। लाखों हिंदुस्तानियों की जाने जाएगी और इस वक्त इस तबाही को होने से सिर्फ तुम करोगी। कहो कि तुम हर हालत में उसे रोकोगी। तो तुम्हारी लोकेशन का पता लगा लिया है। हम जानते हैं तुम कहाँ हो। और हम कल सुबह वहाँ, है ना?
मेरे साथ हो, मेरे हाथ हो, फिर
That was my presentation. I'm okay. I'm done. Anita?
Yes, thank you so much, Shani. We are open for taking questions. So if anybody has anything to ask her, please.
Hello, Shani. Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes.
Uh, yeah. No, actually, I was wondering why you didn't include Devanamathil. പിന്നെയാണ് മനസ്സിലായത് ബോളിവുഡ് representations മാത്രമാണ് പറയുന്നത്. This was something which struck me, long time back when these films came out. That there is this. I'm glad you made this presentation. I just wanted to ask you. I mean, do you think by definitely this is a construction of the Muslim woman, educated Muslim woman. It's a construction of the Muslim woman as educated, empowered, and in the service of the nation, who considers herself, who considers the nation much more important than her, love or even domestic relations. Where the family is at the service of the nation. I understand that. I perfectly agree with you. I just want to ask you: do you think there is a reduction of the Muslim man here?
Yes, of course, ma'am. I told you, as Sarah Faris observed, like it is not limited to like Malayalam films or Hindi films, or like it is a global trend after specifically after 9/11, because before also that was in prevalence. Like we can if you think about a film like Nikka, we can see that how she is shown as a victim, and the men are treating her as a like a commodity which can be exchanged between men. So that narrative is already existing, but after the 9/11 attacks, we can see that that trend is that the Muslim men are always at the evil side, and the women are trying to protect the nation. So that is a like the heroic or a loyalty is only like the domain of Muslim women and not the Muslim men. Muslim men are often portrayed like in the film Biryani. We can see that Muslim men are very oppressive and non-educated, or very like capable of criminality and violence. So that is the portrayal we often see in films.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, actually, there is some disturbance in the audio. I think I got only parts of it, but I guess, yeah, you were talking about. No, I was just wondering about even films like, film in the parent yeah, there's a question in the message box. Please, you can take a look at it. There's some problem with the audio. I couldn't hear completely.
Okay, ma'am, what is the name of the film?
എനിക്ക് പെട്ടെന്ന് ഓർമ്മ കിട്ടുന്നില്ല. The film in which that song is there, what is this? होश वालों को खबर क्या?
Ma'am, that film is Sarfarosh.
Sarfarosh, yes.
Yes,
No,
yes.
yeah. I was just thinking where there is no romance
Okay.
elements there, but definitely Nasiruddin Shah, the way he's projected and constructed, Is it a post 9/11 film? I'm not very sure about the date. No, I was just wondering, when you talk about gendering terrorism or gendering nationalism, how would we place a film like Maniratnam's Dil Se, where the terrorist is a woman? Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, so you can consider her a terrorist as such because that
yes,
itself is a very ambiguous position, right?
yes.
So I will, yeah. Uh, so that I think that I can. There have been women, militant women with arms, taking up arms in Indian representations, in the filmic representations. I was just wondering, how would you place that? Of course, she's from the northeast.
Yes,
Northeast.
yes.
Manisha Koirala. I mean, she's not a Muslim woman, but I'm saying
Oh,
again, it's a very troubled scene, right? Northeast also. Do you think it will be helpful in your research if you bring such representations also into your framework,
yes,
just
ma'am.
to make it more complex? Yeah.
Ma'am, yes, you're right that there are many exceptions to this gendering. Like in
Mm.
the film Sarfarosh itself, Amir Khan is a Muslim in that, and the villain part is also played by Nasruddin Shah. He is also Muslim. So
Amir
there,
Khan is also a Muslim. Amir Khan is a Muslim in the film.
yes, Sarfarosh.
Actually, I can't remember all the details, but I remember only Nasiruddin Shah.
Okay. Yes,
That's
in the
why I'm so
film.
sorry. Yeah,
Okay, ma'am. In the film Sarfarosh, actually, Amir Khan plays the hero role, and Nasruddin Shah is involved with the extremist group. So there happens this division between good Muslim and bad Muslim. So that is how they are like formulating that. And I think I would be also analyzing the film Dil Se.
yeah. Thank you, Shani. It's a very thought-provoking paper, and you have many questions in the chat box. Please address them. There are plenty coming your way.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
definitely. So Shri S has asked, how do you view the agency of Muslim character played by Shweta Menon in the film Pardesi, where in the post-independence era, citizenship being denied both Indian and Pakistan? Actually, I haven't completely watched the film Pardesi, but in the light of the CAA acts, like I can say that when the Muslim women an act like a triple talaq is like introduced for saving the Muslim women. But when the CAA is introduced, the state is not thinking about what happens to the Muslim women. So there is a clear-cut double standard in part of the state. Like there is only rhetorics of saving the Muslim women. Actually, that doesn't happen. Like even the state when it fails in controlling the communal riots or anything like the CAA. So they are actually simultaneously putting forward and projecting like a rhetoric like saving the Muslim women, but in actual practice, they are actually marginalizing and oppressing the Muslim women. I don't know if it would spark a controversy, but explicitly I can say that in the issue of Siddiq Kapan, there are many people, many Muslim men who are actually detained for things that are they are innocent for these things, and but they are detained by the state. So what happens in cases like that? They are actually punishing the Muslim women. Muslim women suffers because of this. That is not taken into consideration by the state. So I hope I have answered Sri's question. And she has asked regarding gendering terrorism. We could discuss the role played by Kiran Kher in the movie Kurban. Okay, that also I haven't watched completely. I have only I remember Kurban, like Saif Ali Khan. Kurban also I think becomes part of the stereotype terrorist men. They are and Kurban in Kurban Saif Ali Khan is a terrorist and he loves Kareena Kapoor, I suppose. So there is a narrative of love jihad also going on amidst this. Like the Muslim man disguised as a terrorist of tries to trap a Hindu girl. So that is the narrative of Kurban, I think. And Ashika asks, you were using the term good Muslim and bad Muslim to create a divide. Do you think such nomenclature can be problematic? About what makes one a good Muslim and what isn't? So Ashika, the good Muslim and bad Muslim is not a idea introduced by me. It was introduced by Mahmoud Mamdani in the context of the 9/11 attacks. After 9/11 attacks in the American media, the media had this division. There have been regular news were given about the criminalized activities of Muslim men. So in the media itself created a bad Muslim image through the media. And President George Bush also had proclaimed to the Muslim community that not all the Muslims from the community are bad. So he was trying to say that there are a kind of extremist groups who are involved in anti-nationalistic or terrorist activities. So other Muslims, they should rally with us. They should stand with the state. So this makes a good Muslim. The good Muslim is always apologetic for the whole acts of the Muslim community. And the bad Muslim is always a criminal, and he tries to create some sort of menace. So this is not invented by myself. It is a idea. It was introduced by Mahmoud Mamdani. And Ashkas, in the context, okay. Also, when you portray Muslim women on their way to serve nation, who are they serving actually? We have seen in recent films how anyone who questions the so-called national interest and stand up for identity politics are called terrorist or urban exile. So that is where I said how the film Vartamanam was taken by the central board. So when Muslim women are portrayed as victims, oppressed victims of Islamic religion or Muslim men, they are very much appreciated by the viewers or the state. And when they are portrayed as strong characters like in Vartamanam, where the character is actually speaking explicitly against the state's policy and marginalization of minority community, there the film or the narrative is labeled as anti-national. So this is how the double standards of state is working. So you're very right. Anyone who stands against the national interest, standing against the national interest doesn't mean that we are doing some evil to the nation. Even when we are criticizing or we are thinking differently from the nationalist narrative, we are labeled as urban exiles or somewhat. In the context of selected movies, it makes sense. But what about other instances? Not only in the context of movies, in reality itself, the thing is like that. I told you that triple talaq was introduced here to protect the Muslim women. At the same time, the JNU students, female students, were arrested for protesting against the state. So this is how it is working in our nation itself. So I think there are no more questions.
Shani.
Yes, sir.
When you were when the whole issue was being discussed, എനിക്ക് പെട്ടെന്ന് ഓർമ്മ വന്നത് ഈ ബൈനറി ഒന്നും ഇല്ലാത്ത കുറച്ച് ഒരു ചെറിയ ന്യൂനപക്ഷം ഈ നാട്ടിൽ ജീവിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, who are probably not affected by this conflict at all.
Okay.
ഹിന്ദുക്കളുണ്ട്, മുസ്ലിങ്ങളുണ്ട്, ക്രിസ്ത്യാനികളുണ്ട്. ഒരു തമാശ ഉണ്ട്, നിങ്ങൾ മുമ്പ് പറയാറുണ്ട്. ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു മുസ്ലിം ഒരു പയ്യൻ ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഹിന്ദു പെൺകുട്ടിയെ പ്രേമിച്ച് കല്യാണത്തിന്റെ ആലോചനയൊക്കെ വന്നപ്പോൾ ബാക്കി എല്ലാവരും എതിർത്തു. അപ്പൊ ബാപ്പ ഒരു തമാശക്കാരനാണ്, പഴയ നാടകത്തിന്റെ ആളാണ്. അപ്പൊ ബാപ്പ പറഞ്ഞു, ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു പെൺകുട്ടിയെ കല്യാണം കഴിക്കാൻ പോവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പൊ ഹിന്ദു മുസ്ലിമും തമ്മിൽ എന്താ വ്യത്യാസം? ഒരു പിയാപ്പിള എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ചെറിയ വ്യത്യാസം ഉണ്ടാക്കും. ഒരു തമാശന്റെ അപ്പൊ അതുപോലെയുള്ള കുറെ ആൾക്കാർ, അത് അവരുടെ കുറെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഇപ്പൊ സാഹിത്യത്തില് 2-3 എഴുത്തുകാർ അത് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. യു.എ. ഖാദറാണ് ഒരാള്, ബഷീർ വളരെ നേരത്തെ തന്നെ പട്ടത്തുകൊണ്ടൊക്കെന്നായിരുന്നു. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ചെറിയ ന്യൂനപക്ഷം ഈ നാട്ടിൽ ജീവിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പത്തെ കുഞ്ഞുള്ള അത്രയില്ല. അപ്പത്തെ കുഞ്ഞുള്ള അപ്പോഴേ ഈ പോളറൈസേഷൻ വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ അത് മറ്റു രീതിയിലാണ്. പിന്നെ certain anarchic fashion he tried to ഡീൽ വിത്ത് ദിസ്. അല്ലാതെ ഉണ്ട് അവരെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം അതൊരു നോൺ ഇഷ്യൂ ആണ്. പക്ഷെ അൺഫോർച്ചുനേറ്റ്ലി ദേ ആർ സച്ച് എ സ്മോൾ മൈനോറിറ്റി. അവർക്കൊരു വോയിസ് ഇല്ല നമ്മുടെ പൊളിറ്റിക്സിലും ഡിസ്കോഴ്സിലും ഒക്കെ. ഇപ്പോൾ ദർ ഇസ് വാട്ട് ഇസ് ഹാപ്പനിങ് ഇസ് ദിസ് സ്റ്റീരിയോടൈപ്പിംഗ് ആൻഡ് ദ സീക്കിംഗ് വേസ് ടു കോമ്പാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ്. അതാണ് ഇവിടെ നടക്കുന്നത്. സ്റ്റീരിയോടൈപ്പിംഗ് ഉണ്ട്, മുസ്ലിം ജെൻഡറിങ് ഉണ്ട്, അതിനെ എതിർക്കാൻ ഉള്ള ദിസ് ഇസ് നാച്ചുറൽ. ഇപ്പൊ വൈറസ് ഉണ്ടാകുമ്പോഴാണല്ലോ അതിന് ആന്റിബോഡീസ് പ്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. പക്ഷെ വൈറസ് ബാധിക്കാത്ത certain enclaves in our civilization. അവരുടെ ഒരു വോയിസ് ഞാൻ വിചാരിക്കുക ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു ചർച്ചയിൽ വരേണ്ടതാണ്. ഇപ്പൊ ഇതുപോലുള്ള തമാശക്ക് പറയാൻ ഇന്നും പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു ചെറിയ ന്യൂനപക്ഷമുണ്ട്. വെദർ ആ ഡിസ്കോഴ്സ് പൊതു സമൂഹത്തിലേക്ക് ഇൻ പബ്ലിക് ഫോറ അത് വരുമെന്ന് നമുക്കറിയില്ല. വി ഡോണ്ട് നോ. ഐ തിങ്ക് ദാറ്റ് ഷുഡ് ബി അഡ്രസ്ഡ്.
സാറ് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോ എനിക്ക് ഓർമ്മ വരുന്നത് ബഷീർ തന്നെ പറയുന്നുണ്ട്, ബഷീർ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് മുസ്ലിം കഥാപാത്രങ്ങളെ കൂടുതലായിട്ട് കൊണ്ടുവരുന്നതെന്ന്. He said that always Muslim characters are portrayed as villains, like thieves. എപ്പോഴും ഒരു നെഗറ്റീവ് ക്യാരക്ടറൈസേഷൻ ആയിരിക്കണം. അപ്പൊ ആ കാലത്ത് തന്നെ ഈ സ്റ്റീരിയോ ടൈപ്പിങ്ങിനെ കുറിച്ച് ബഷീർ ബോധവാനായിരുന്നു എന്നല്ലേ നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കുക.
അല്ല, അതല്ല ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞതല്ല, അത് മറ്റൊരു തലാണ്. അതെന്താ വെച്ചാൽ എഴുത്തുകാര് അധികവും സവർണ വിഭാഗങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നുള്ളതുകൊണ്ടാണ്. അത് മാത്രമല്ലല്ലോ ഡിസ്കോഴ്സ്, പുറത്ത് ഡിസ്കോഴ്സ് ഉണ്ടല്ലോ. അത് ശരിക്കും ബഷീറിന്റെ ചെറിയൊരു പരിമിതി കൂടിയാണ്. ബിക്കോസ് ഈ ലിവ്ഡ് ഇൻ സെൻട്രൽ കേരള. അപ്പൊ മലബാർ എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ പൊതു സാഹിത്യത്തിന് പാരലായിട്ട് പുറത്തുണ്ട്, ബോത്ത് ഓറൽ ആൻഡ് റിട്ടൺ, വലിയൊരു സാഹിത്യമുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അത് മെയിൻ സ്ട്രീമിൽ അംഗീകരിക്കപ്പെട്ടില്ലെങ്കിൽ പോലും അതിലുള്ള കഥകളും ഒക്കെ തന്നെ ഈ ഒരു സ്റ്റീരിയോ ടൈപ്പിങ്ങിന് വിരുദ്ധമായിട്ട് നീങ്ങുന്നത്. ഇപ്പൊ ഞാനൊക്കെ ഒരുപാട് അങ്ങനെ പരിചയപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുള്ളതാണ്. അപ്പൊ അതിൽ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള സ്റ്റീരിയോ ടൈപ്പിംഗ് ഇല്ല. ഇപ്പൊ വേറൊരു കഥ പറഞ്ഞുതരാം. ഇത് മുസ്ലിയാരുടെ. അപ്പൊ നല്ല രസികനാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഇങ്ങനെ നടന്നു പോകുമ്പോ ഒരു പറങ്കിമാവിന്റെ ചോട്ടിൽ കുറെ ആൾക്കാർ ചാരായം വാറ്റുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ ഒരാൾ ചോദിച്ച്, അല്ല മൊയ്ലേര് ലേശം അടിക്കുന്നോന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. അപ്പൊ മൊയ്ലേര് പറഞ്ഞ്, അല്ല എന്താ മൊയ്ലേര് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നരകത്ത് പോകാൻ പേടിയുള്ളതുകൊണ്ടാണോ അടിക്കാത്തതെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. അപ്പൊ മൊയ്ലേര് പറഞ്ഞു, നരകത്ത് പോകുന്ന അല്ല പ്രശ്നം, അവിടെ പോയാലും ആ ബീരാനെയും അഹമ്മദിനെയും ഒക്കെ കാണണല്ലോ എന്നുള്ളതാണ് പ്രശ്നം. നിങ്ങളൊന്നും അവിടെ ഉണ്ടാവുകയില്ലല്ലോ. സോ ദിസ് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് ഡിസ്കോഴ്സ് ഉണ്ട്, ഒരു സബ്റ്ററേനിയൻ ഡിസ്കോഴ്സ് ഉണ്ട്. ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരുപാട് കഥകളുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അത് നമ്മുടെ പബ്ലിക് ഡിസ്കോഴ്സിലേക്ക് വന്നിട്ടില്ല. വാസ്തവത്തിൽ ഈ സ്റ്റീരിയോ ടൈപ്പിങ്ങിനെ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് തകർക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു ഡിസ്കോഴ്സാണ് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞോണ്ടത്. ബഷീറിന്റെ കാര്യം വ്യത്യസ്തമാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം ജീവിച്ചിരുന്നത് മുസ്ലിങ്ങൾ വളരെ ചെറിയൊരു ന്യൂനപക്ഷമായ ഒരു സ്ഥലത്താണ്. അവിടെ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു ഡിസ്കോഴ്സ് നിലനിൽക്കുന്നില്ല. മലബാറിൽ അതാണ് ഉള്ളത്. മലബാറിൽ എടുത്തു നോക്കിയാൽ പല ഭാഗങ്ങളിലും ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള കഥകൾ കണ്ടമാനുണ്ട് അതില്ലേ. അപ്പൊ ആ പഴയ ഒരു സാനിറ്റൈസ്ഡ് മൊയ്ലിയാന്മാരൊന്നുമില്ല. ഇതേപോലെ തമാശക്കാരമില്ല. ഇപ്പൊ മലപ്പുറം ജില്ലയിൽ തന്നെ കെ ദാമോദരൻ കമ്മ്യൂണിസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ടി ടിക്കറ്റിൽ മത്സരിക്കുന്ന കാലത്താണ്, 1948. അപ്പൊ മായിൻ മൗലവി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഒരാളുടെ ഭയങ്കര രസികനാണ്. അപ്പൊ മായിൻ മൗലവിയുടെ ഒരു അറിയപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരു മൊഴിമുത്ത് എന്ന് പറയാവുന്ന ഇതാണ്. മായിൻ മൗലവി അറിയും, മായിൻ മൗലവി നിന്ന് പാർട്ടി എന്ന് പറയാനാണ്. മായിൻ മൗലവി ചോറ് കഴിച്ചോ ചായ കുടിച്ചോ എന്ന് ചോദിക്കാൻ ആരുമില്ല. കാരണം നിന്ന് മൂത്രം ഒഴിക്കുന്ന ഹറാമാണെന്നാണല്ലോ. അപ്പൊ മായിൻ മൗലവി അത് ചെയ്തെന്ന് പറയാൻ ഇവിടെ ആളുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ മായിൻ മൗലവി ഒരു നേരം ചോറുന്നോ ചായ കുടിച്ചോ എന്ന് പറയാൻ ഇവിടെ കിട്ടും. അപ്പൊ ഈ മായിൻ മൗലവി കെ ദാമോദരന്റെ മീറ്റിങ്ങിലൊക്കെ പങ്കെടുക്കും. അന്ന് ഭയങ്കര കമ്മ്യൂണിസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ടിക്ക് കിട്ടിയൊരു വലിയ കുട്ടലാണ് മായിൻ മൗലവി. അപ്പൊ മായിൻ മൗലവി ഈ മീറ്റിങ്ങിൽ പോയിട്ട് ഒരു ദിവസം പറഞ്ഞ്, അള്ളാഹുവിന്റെ കണ്ണില് ദാമോദരനാണ് യഥാർത്ഥ മുസ്ലിം. അപ്പൊ ഭയങ്കര ഒച്ചപ്പാടുണ്ടായി. സദസ്സിൽ ആരോ ചോദിച്ച്, ഇത് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഖുർആൻ വെച്ച് തെളിയിക്കാൻ പറ്റും? മൗലവിക്ക് ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ദേഷ്യമാണ്. മൗലവി പറഞ്ഞ്, ഖുർആനെ കൊണ്ടല്ല, ഖുർആന്റെ ബാപ്പാനെ കൊണ്ടും വേണമെങ്കിൽ തെളിയിക്കുന്നത്. ഇതിന്റെയൊക്കെ ഫലമായിട്ട് കെ ദാമോദരൻ അവിടെ കെട്ടിവെച്ച പൈസ പോയി അന്ന്. പക്ഷെ ഇന്ന് ആർക്കും കെട്ടിവെച്ച പൈസ പോകുന്നില്ല. മറ്റു തരത്തിലുള്ള ഡിസ്കോസുകളാണല്ലോ ഓപ്പറേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഇങ്ങനെ കുറെ കാര്യങ്ങളുണ്ട്. ഐ തിങ്ക് ദേ ഷുഡ് ബി ഡിസ്കസ്.
ഇത് പൊതുവെ നമ്മുടെ ഡിസ്കഷനിൽ കാണാത്ത കാര്യങ്ങളാണ് സാർ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ തന്നെ.
Hi, Shani. My name
Okay.
is Asha.
Okay.
So
Ram Shabana is one of those films which I find perfectly fitting your paper's criterion. Nam Shabana kandittle.
Actually, I haven't watched that movie. Please tell you.
Okay. Nam Shabana, it's a movie by Tapsi Pannu, and she is recruited as an intelligence field agent.
Okay,
But
I
that is
remember the
the dialogue
trailer.
in the movie, while the defense agent Manoj Bajpayee is motivating Shabana to join the agency, there he says women are pre-configured to be spies. Like women have something in their DNA which enables them to be spies. Men will need gadgets, but women can do it easily. So since your study involves the film Rasi, could you please respond to this comment? Is this anything for the motherland spirit biologically inherent to women?
Okay, so I think this relationship of women to the nation, we use the phrase itself. It is motherland, not fatherland. For some nations, it's fatherland, but for us, it's motherland. So the figure of women is always for Indians. It's linked with Bharat Mata. So Bharat Mata stands for she stands for I think whatever is pure and whatever is to be venerated. So the women figure of which is related to the nation, it's always it is very എന്താ പറയാ നമ്മൾ ഉദാത്തമായ ഒരു ഇമേജ് ആണ് കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഫെമിനിറ്റീനെ എന്താ പറയാ ഈ നല്ല കാര്യങ്ങൾ, നല്ല ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് മാത്രമുള്ള, അതായത് നേഷനെ പ്രൊട്ടക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നർച്ചർ ചെയ്യുന്ന അങ്ങനത്തെ വാല്യൂസ് മാത്രം എടുത്തുകൊണ്ട് ഇതെങ്ങനെ നമ്മൾ നാഷണലിന് വേണ്ടി യൂട്ടിലൈസ് ചെയ്യും, അങ്ങനെ ഒരു നെറേറ്റീവ് ആണ് എനിക്ക് ഇതിൽ ഫീൽ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഈ ബോത്ത് ഫിലിംസ്, നാം ഷബാന ആണെങ്കിലും റാസി ആണെങ്കിലും അങ്ങനെയാണ് ഈ ഡിസ്കോഴ്സ് ഫോം ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അതിൽ മാത്രമല്ല, മീൻസ് വെൻ ഈ മദർ ഇമേജ് വരുമ്പോൾ വേറെയും കുറച്ച് പ്രശ്നങ്ങളുണ്ട്. നമ്മൾ കുറച്ചും കൂടി ബാക്കിലേക്ക് ഈ കൊളോണിയൽ പീരീഡിലേക്കൊക്കെ പോവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമ്മളുടെ this Mughal invasion of India. So this Mughal invasion of India is actually taken as molesting the Bharat Mata itself. So അങ്ങനെ ഒരു നെറേഷൻ ഓൾറെഡി ഭാരത് മാത, ദ ഫെമിനിൻ ഇമേജ്, അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഇമേജ് ഓൾറെഡി അവിടെ ഉണ്ടാക്കി വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതിനോടാണ് നമ്മൾ ഈ ഒരു ജെൻഡർ ആൻഡ് നാഷണലിസം ചേർത്ത് വെക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ എന്താ പറയുക, ഈ ഗോഡസിന്റെ ഫീച്ചർ, ഷീ ക്യാൻ പ്രൊട്ടക്ട് ഇറ്റ് സെൽഫ് ആൻഡ് അതേഴ്സ്. സോ ഗോഡസ് ഒരു ഫിഗർ, ഫെമിനൈൻ ഫിഗർ ഈ റാസിയിലും നാം ഷബാനയിലൊക്കെ വരുമ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കാം ആ ഒരു കമന്റ് വരുന്നത്. അതായത് ഫെമിനിറ്റിയിൽ ഇൻബോൺ ആണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു സ്പൈ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ നമ്മള് we not take it as a negative trait here. സ്പൈങ് എന്ന് ഇവിടെ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് നേഷന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്. ഇപ്പൊ റാസിയിലാണെങ്കിലും നേഷന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് അവർ ആ സ്പൈ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. സോ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു നെറേറ്റീവ് ഓൾറെഡി നിലനിൽക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ റാസിയിലും നാം ഷബാനയിലൊക്കെ ഈ ഒരു നെറേറ്റീവ് തന്നെയാണ് പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്നതെന്നാണ് ഐ ഫീൽ സോ.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I think there are. Shreyas asked, how do you view the female characters in espionage movies like Ekta Tiger, Tiger Zinda Hai, Phantom and Agent Vinod? I have a vague idea of Ekta Tiger and Tiger Zinda Hai. Phantom, that also I think I haven't watched Phantom and Agent Vinod, but I think Ekta Tiger, there also Katrina plays a role of a Muslim woman, I think. So there also this happens. She is a traitor, I think. I can't actually remember. She has. Can you just help me with the plot outline? Hello. Okay, I actually can't exactly. Okay, park agent. She is a park agent. Okay, this I think stands in exclusion. There are some films which excludes from what I am talking about. I think these films stand in this exclusionary category. Okay. So I think easy magic.
I have another question.
Okay.
Shani.
Okay, this is imagining an alternative ending to these films possible in Indian space. When we observe the climax scene of these three films, we can see that there are similar, like there is a very similarity in them. Like the Muslim women stands in opposition to the Muslim men, and she is loyal to the nation. So the possible another alternative ending is that she stands with her man. So such a narrative actually will trigger off much controversy. So I remember my guide. My supervisor, Shripriya ma'am, had written about the novel Home Fire by Kamila Shamsi. So in that novel, it happens the protagonist's brother is involved in such an extremist group, but she succeeds to make him understand that he is in the wrong path, and she tries to bring back her brother to her nation, but the state is refusing to accept him, and he dies in the encounter. So, but she chooses to protest against this, and she turns against the state, and she is telling that the state is responsible for the death of her brother. So, I don't think that such a narrative is possible in the Indian context, because, in the Vartamana film itself, they had stated it as anti-national. So, I don't think that this kind of alternative ending would work in Bollywood films, because Bollywood formulates films for the entertainment of the spectators. So Bollywood film industry gives the spectators what they need, not like anything revolutionary. So I don't think that this would be possible in Indian space.
Shani, can I ask you something?
Okay.
Yeah, where do you place a film like Wang in this narrative? Because like while a lot of other films like Biryani or even the kind of films that you mentioned talks about
Okay, which
how Wang recent had a release then I think it was overshadowed by I think Biryani and The Great Indian Kitchen. So it basically, have you seen the film?
No, I have seen Biryani, but not Wang.
Yeah, it was not received very well, but it basically talks about this girl who's just passed out of college and her desire to call for Adhan. That's it. വാങ്ക് വിളിക്കണം എന്നുള്ളൊരു so it
Okay.
basically talks about like gender representation within that community.
Okay.
Even though it had a very strong premise, it didn't as a movie it didn't come off really good. These were the kind of reviews. So how would you look at this plot, and how do you think our nation would receive it in our social, current political climate?
Okay, there is two parts to this question. How would our society receive it? So I think there are a section of people who nurture secular values and who tries to reform Islam from inside and outside. So there are, I don't remember the name, but there is a Muslim women who gives leadership to the Jamaat prayer. So I don't really recollect her name. So there was a woman. She was a teacher, I think. So there was many criticism, large scale criticism to this women. This is one part of this, and there were many people who supported this also. They were trying to say that we have to demolish the patriarchal hegemony in Islam. So that was the two discourses formed around this women. And I would also like to mention, I think it was Amina Wadood. She gave leadership to the prayer amidst the I think in New York City after the 9/11 attacks. She organized a prayer and gave leadership to that prayer. So giving leadership to a Jamaat prayer or giving a Wang, that is actually it is restricted in Islam. It is Islam doesn't allow that. But the problem is that how this discourse affects the the configuration of Islam. So there is a feminist critic called Sabah Mahmood. So Sabah Mahmood she observed this Islamic women question need not be always based on the Western concept of subversion. So subversion is a feminist Western feminist discourse where the female is always expected to subvert what is in opposition, the gender role, the typical gender role in the religion, or they are expected to subvert it. But Sabah Mahmood is saying that people can, Muslim women can, they can protest to this hegemony without this subversion. So she is saying that being submissive to the religion, that also is a path of protest, or that is an reappropriation of religion. So she says that reappropriation of religion also, Muslim women can find her agency. So that is the difference on how many people, how different people view this context. So it has no really one dimension to this question.
Okay, thank you. You have another question.
Okay. The women portrayed in this movie is a Muslim but cannot be seen wearing because of this traditions. Yes, it is an interesting observation. So I mentioned how the song sequence in Fiza and Fana, they show very very glamorized role, the very glamorous appearance of these Muslim women. Actually, these songs are not doesn't bear any relation to the plot or the storyline, but it is there. In Bollywood films, it is mandatory that we have a song sequence which is very romantic and very sexually desirable films, like song sequence. So in these films also, Fiza is seen in a shirt and jeans she is wearing, and other films also they don't have a hijab or anything. So this alludes how the Muslim women has got out of the traditional burqa. So if you remember the film Biryani, we can see how the burqa, which was in the rope, it falls down. The falling down of the burqa actually implies to the emancipation of the Muslim women. I have seen in many films, the films under my study, like in thesis, I have included many films like Lipstick Under My Burqa, Secret Superstar, etc. So in all these movies, we can see that emancipation is actually linked to the unveiling of the Muslim women. So that also, I think, the Western discourse is functioning behind this. The unveiling part of the Muslim women actually has a post-colonial root where the colonial desire was linked to this unveiling and conquering of the colonial countries. So I think this is very much very relevant question that was. Okay. Any other questions? Anita?
Just to know your response. Post 9/11, don't you think there is an excessive pressure to portray patriotic Muslims in order to decriminalize religion? So my name is Khan and I'm not a terrorist. I'm a Muslim, I'm a patriot. But on the other side, we have this Bollywood trend of communalizing history through films like Manikarnika and Tanaji and many other films. Marathi centric Korean films history communalize cheyanalla ശ്രമങ്ങൾ നടക്കുന്നു. So how do you find a safe space between these? How do you navigate through these two binaries?
Yes, absolutely. That's a relevant observation. My name is Khan. That's why I chose to put that statement by Safiya in the beginning of the presentation itself. she is expected to cut off the ties with these people who are actually linked to extremist groups. Even if like there is evidence to it, or the case comes out in favor of them or the favor of state, that doesn't matter. We have to like give this statement that we are not involved in it and we are not responsible for their acts. We are in like we side with the nation. And we in the biryani നമ്മൾ ആ ഫിലിമിൽ കാണുന്നുണ്ട്, അതില് ബ്രദറിന്റെ വാർത്ത വരുമ്പോ അവർ പറയുന്നുണ്ട് ഇത് ഞങ്ങളുടെ ആരുമല്ല. സോ ദിസ് ഇസ് വാട്ട് ഈസ് ലൈക്ക് എക്സ്പെക്ടഡ് ഫ്രം എ മുസ്ലിം വിമൻ. ഇതാണ് മുസ്ലിം വിമൻ എന്നല്ല, പൊതുവെ അങ്ങനെയാണ്. നമ്മൾ ഈ എക്സ്ട്രീമിസ്റ്റ് ഗ്രൂപ്പ്സിനെ പോർട്രേ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഏത് ഫിലിംസ് ആണെങ്കിലും നമുക്ക് അവർ ഫാമിലിനെ കാണാം. ഫാമിലി ട്രൈസ് ടു ലൈക്ക് ഡിസൗണ്ട് ദം. എന്റെ മോൻ ഇങ്ങനെ ആവില്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇതെന്റെ മോനല്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി മരിച്ചുപോയി. അപ്പോ ദിസ് ഇസ് ദ നെറേറ്റീവ് അറൌണ്ട് ലൈക്ക് ദിസ് ഷുഡ് ബി ദ മുസ്ലിം ഷുഡ് ബി ഓൾവേസ് അപ്പോളജറ്റിക്കൽ. അതായത് ലോകത്ത് എവിടെ ഒരു തീവ്രവാദ ആക്രമണം നടക്കുകയാണെങ്കിലും, ലോകത്ത് എവിടെ ഒരു ലൈക്ക് തലാഖ് അങ്ങനത്തെ സ്ത്രീ വിരുദ്ധ പ്രവർത്തനം നടക്കുകയാണെങ്കിലും അതിന് മുസ്ലിമാണ് ഉത്തരവാദി. മുസ്ലിം പക്ഷെ അതിൽ നിന്ന് തന്റെ എന്താണ് നിരപരാധിത്വം തെളിയിക്കണം. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു എന്താണ് മാൻഡറ്ററി ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു എന്താ പറയാ അൺറിട്ടൺ റൂൾ നമുക്ക് നിലനിൽക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. യു മേ ഹാവ് സീൻ, ഐ ഡോണ്ട് നോ, there is a song by Mamukoya that is called Native Baba. So I think you should just see it in the YouTube.
എന്താണ് പേര് പറഞ്ഞത്?
നേറ്റീവ് ബാബ, ദാറ്റ് വാസ് ബൈ മമുക്കോയ.
കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട് ഞാൻ. ബ്ലാക്ക് ആൻഡ് വൈറ്റിലുള്ളവരല്ലേ?
Explicitly shows how the Muslim is like how Muslim is stereotyped or labeled, or how he is forced to become. അങ്ങനെയാണ്. ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു എനിക്ക് ഇപ്പോ ഓർമ്മ വരുന്നത് ഒരു റിയൽ ലൈഫ് എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ആണ്. വേർ ഐ വർക്ക് ഇൻ എ സ്കൂൾ വേർ they were trying to say that the Pakistan, the only Muslim person in that school was me, and the other teachers were just making comments like Pakistanis are giving birth to many Muslim, like many babies to like export them to India to destroy Indians. So they were telling that to me. So I didn't know why they are telling to me, because I have worn a hijab or anything. So ഇതാണ് നമ്മളുടെ ഒരു നെറേറ്റീവിന്റെ പ്രശ്നം. അതായത് എവിടെ എന്ത് സംഭവിച്ചാലും അതിന് വസ്തുത ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലും ഇല്ലെങ്കിലും അതിന് ഉത്തരവാദിയായിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ മുന്നിലിരിക്കുന്ന മുസ്ലിം അതിന് ഉത്തരം പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കണം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾക്ക് അവരെ ചോദ്യം ചെയ്യും. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു നെറേറ്റീവ് ആണ് നമ്മുടെ പ്രശ്നം.
Thank you, Shani.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any more questions?
I think no.
If there are no more questions, I think we can wind up the session. Obaid, is that okay?
Yes, Anita. Can you do it?
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much, Shani, for being here with us today. It was a very fruitful session. We discussed a lot, we learned a lot, and I think we're all leaving with a few questions in mind, and that basically talks a lot about how productive the paper was. Thank you so much. Thank you to Department of English, University of Calicut for conducting the forum, and especially to the research scholars for coordinating it. To all the participants, and especially to our faculty, Sharif sir, and everybody else. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'll catch up again next week with a different topic. Thank you so much. Stay safe.
Okay. Thank you, Anita.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Shan.